Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here with another episode of the IT Business Podcast presented by NetAlly, your podcast for IT business support. And if you are watching this video or hearing this, this is the Wednesday live show, and we have a great presentation this evening. I have with me a new friend of the channel, Justin Windsor from Splashtop, and I'm going to get him on here in just a second. And just so you know, folks, oh, I already said this is the Wednesday live show, so you already know that. So why don't we go ahead and get started with the show? I'm going to go ahead and bring Justin in. We'll do a couple of news and announcements. We'll talk about Splashtop, and there will be a post show for questions and answers. But let's go ahead and get him in here. Justin Windsor from Splashtop. Justin, how are you?
I'm good, Marv. Audience, how are you guys doing tonight?
All right, doing pretty good, pretty good. So let's see here. I've already heard the dings going. So is that your fantasy football team?
Yes, I would. Hopefully, they stop the talking because it's getting it's a little annoying. We did our fantasy football league draft last night for Splashtop, and as we know, the season kicks off tomorrow, and the smack talk is fully underway here at Splashtop.
Yeah, I had to stop fantasy football. It interfered with work, interfered with family time on Sundays. We did you get the what is it? The NFL Red Zone?
Oh, it's the best channel ever. I do love me some Scott Hansen on Red Zone. 7 hours of commercial-free football starts now.
That was probably the best investment that we made. The wife actually watched football because of that.
You know what? I totally agree. It condenses it. You just see the best plays. I'm still surprised. I'm a big LSU fan, but I'm still surprised we don't have college football Red Zone, especially on a Saturday at 12 o'clock East Coast time, but maybe one day.
I don't know if they could pull that off. I mean, there's so
I don't
many,
think they could, but
there's so many games.
As a fan, it'd be cool. Yeah.
So many games.
We'll see.
All right. Well, folks, I do want to let you know, Justin has been on the show before, so he and I had this little banter going back and forth. It's great. If you have not heard, you're way behind in the podcast. If you go back and listen to episode 427, we have Justin here, Splashtop, Not Your Parents' Remote Support Software, and we've got him back for the live show tonight, and should be good here. Now, let's see here. Justin, did you get a lot of feedback yet from that show?
Yeah, we've got a lot of good feedback, and I think what you said about Not Your Parents' remote desktop, remote support tool is very, very accurate. That I think a lot of individuals who know who Splashtop are, who we are, what we do kind of thing, they kind of put us in one arena, which is, again, totally fine, and we're doing very successful there. But I think the more we are able to socialize where we are, where we're going, and additional things on the roadmap, I think it does really reinforce that this is, again, not your parents' remote desktop tool.
All right. We are going to get into that a little bit here. But first, I want to go over some of the big news items of today. And of course, Apple has been announcing their iPhone 14 and whether there's going to be a notch or no notch. And they're introducing iOS 16. But I think the biggest news of today is the fact that they are going to now provide unlimited repairs as part of their Apple Care. So something that's been a long time going, offering $29 repairs for broken glass and some other prices for other repairs. So now all of us that are klutzes don't have to fear whether or not we want to pay for that repair or anything like that. So, Justin, are you an Apple guy or an Android guy?
No, I'm an Apple guy, and my son and I just went to California for vacation. We did Disneyland, a number of baseball games, SeaWorld, all that. And right before I left, I dropped my phone, and one of the 3 camera things broke. I spent $245 to get that one camera thing. I was like, if I'm on vacation, I got to have good pictures. So That is welcome news to me.
That is something. And I wonder if that comes out of the fact that states are now trying to get that Right to Repair Act going, and they know that they're going to lose that business.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you're on the right track there.
Okay. All right. And in other news, and I think this is actually very interesting as well, Facebook engineers back in March admitted that they don't know where your personal data is. And I find that absolutely stunning with all the things that Facebook has done and the fact that they are watching us and we know that they're recording us and we know a lot of things that are happening. But the fact that they're going to say, we don't know where your data is, sounds kind of scary. And the fact of, I mean, how many data centers can Facebook really be in, right? I'm assuming a lot.
I would assume so, and I would love to have been the enterprise sales rep that had that data storage account at Facebook. I can know that much right now.
Yeah. I'm stalling because I was trying to pull up the story here and I'm on the wrong email. I have too many emails. So it'd be like me just to say, I don't know where my email is. So, and I have one other news bit, and this is more of a personal news, and it's for IT service providers. If you've been in the game for a while, and I know that a lot of people have been frustrated going through COVID, customers, possibly wanting to drop out and not use us anymore. I had one of those days. It was not a pretty day, stressful, a lot of mental anguish going on. And then I had to travel to Miami. That in itself is a battle, but it's for a third party client. They're not technically my client. I'm doing work for another provider and I'm there 3 Wednesdays out of the month. It was a day, shall I say. So it's an hour to drive back to the office. But when I do, I get back to the office and on my desk, I was told by my office manager that I had a check from one customer. But what she did not tell me was that attached to the check was this little bitty sticker thing that said, "You're awesome." And the reason that I find that significant is because this customer they are now a longtime customer. And I looked them up. They've been with us for 15 years and 10 months. But when we first met them back in 2008, they did not want to use us. They did not want to spend money. They thought that computer software recurring cost was a scam, and only wanted to repair things if it was broken. And they had an opportunity to do an upgrade. And when I gave them the cost to assist them with their upgrade, they said, "No, we'll just stick with our other person." And about a month later, we got a call from them because the person that referred me to them had gone out to do some work, and come to find out, they really, for lack of a better phrase, didn't do the right upgrades, and they were complaining and stuff like that. So the consultant went there and said, "Wow, Marvin did this to you guys?" And they said, "Well, we didn't use Marvin." And she said, "Well, you need to use Marvin." So that's how we got back into the business. And if you can see the check, I hopefully hit enough information there, but their monthly check right now is averaging around $2,900. So for a customer that didn't want to spend anything, now they're at the point where they're saying, "Marvin, whatever you tell us to do, we'll do." And they're about to go up another few $100s because we've got to do some cybersecurity stuff. So that felt pretty good to get that. And what's funny is they apologize all the time when they call. And when I tell them I may have to charge you more, the office manager is just like, "Charge what you need to charge." So that's a story that I think a lot of people need to hear right now, that some customers do love you. So,
That is
all right.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
All right. So that's going to do it for the news. And Justin, let's go ahead and do this. So I'm sure there are going to be people that are watching or listening to this that did not listen to the previous podcasts. So why don't we just quickly do a recap? You are now 1 year into your stint at Splashtop as the new channel chief. So tell us what brought you to Splashtop and how the last year has been.
Yeah, no, thanks, Marv. It's been really, really good. I was working in a channel capacity with a company called Zadara. So compute and storage as a service, again, echoing your sentiment of services-based world. A lot of customers, even resellers of ours, MSPs, trying to get out of the hardware business. That's always going to be a place for hardware, but really looking for additional ways to supplement recurring revenue, going to a software model. And, Zadara, amazing technology for sure. And then I started, talking to, researching, and being in conversations with Splashtop. And at that time, to be in full candor, a year and a half ago, summer of 2021, I did not know who Splashtop was. I come from a world of channel sales or even enterprise sales with a firm out of Hanover, Maryland, Alliance Technology Group, that I sold data backup and storage and network and firewalls. And I'm talking Nutanix and Pure Storage and Unitrends and Palo Alto and Cohesity and all these guys and girls. And that's great and that's wonderful. But this whole remote space was kind of new to me. But in my conversation with Splashtop, I kind of just took a step back and said, you know what? This hybrid workforce, people working from home, it's never going away. I think we all can agree that it is a valid outcome, right, of this post-pandemic world. So then I started saying, okay, this is a huge market. Let me understand Splashtop, who they are, what they do, and for them to give me the ability to build a channel program from the ground up. Again, being the enterprise sales rep and having channel roles in the past, that was really, really exciting. And I'll share with you in the audience here, Marvin, there was really three key stats that drew me to Splashtop, again, not knowing who they were. And then one of the first comments that the founders, and we have a great team here, great board, echoed to me is that we're in 85% of Fortune 500 companies. So we're talking many household names that we see out and about during the course of our day have Splashtop. Secondly, we have the highest NPS score in the market. So when we're in competition with our competitors, the BombGuards, the TeamViewers, LogMeIns, et cetera, out of all of those companies, Splashtop is the highest rated from a customer satisfaction perspective, earning a 93% NPS score. And then the last thing that truly kind of sealed the deal for me is as of 2021, Splashtop has already earned a unicorn status, being evaluated as a billion-dollar company. So when I kind of took a step back again and said, okay, remote workforce access support solutions not going away. It's probably only going to grow. We can get more into that as we talk tonight about Splashtop, new advances in our product, new roadmap items, et cetera. And this is a solution that I think has a lot of legs and backed by, again, a very strong company, a very strong board. It kind of became a no-brainer. And then to your point here, 6 days out from being here a year, we've accomplished a lot and there's a lot more to do.
All right. Now, you had kind of worked on this side of the industry, working for a company and not, dealing with vendors from the other side. So now you're on, as a lot of MSPs say, the dark side. What's the difference been like?
Well, I hear you. I definitely can say we're on the dark side, but I also think, after being with Alliance as an enterprise sales rep, for close to 12 years and seeing and working with tons of different manufacturers and all in different silos of IT, I hope that gives me a lot of credibility to say, look, if I was a VAR, if I was an enterprise sales rep, if I was an MSP, what would I want in a partner program? And I have really tried to echo the customer sentiment, again, going back to the NPS score. So one of the two reasons that customers seemingly just love Splashtop is that it just works and it's easy. I can't tell you how many times I go across the country here with some of my teammates here at Splashtop, and we'll be at our booth at whatever event, and people walk by and go, Splashtop, love you guys. And I am telling you, people love Splashtop because it just works and it's just easy. Just a few weeks ago, we were at the Channel Pro event, SMB event in Charlotte, North Carolina. I live in Raleigh. And we took home best software solution. And I think that really validates we've got a great story to tell. So taking that, it's just easy and it works into the channel. I hope as an MSP or as a VAR, they go, Splashtop being a partner with those guys, it's just easy. And we have what we need to be successful. We're selling it. So I think having the experience on my side of the table, and now hopefully not necessarily the dark side, maybe more like a light gray side of the table is a better way to phrase it.
Okay. Now, in that transition, I'll show a little naivete in saying that I'm not sure that Splashtop was an MSP friendly company years ago. And it seems as though you guys have made a huge push in the last year to become MSP friendly, to do a lot of these things. Was that a concerted effort to do that? Was it a new direction? What made that happen?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll answer that with giving a little bit of background about Splashtop because I do think it's important, right? So our founders are 4 guys, all went to MIT, did not know each other, go to MIT. So obviously very, very smart, right? Smarter than I. I'm not at any point getting to MIT, I can assure you. But they start playing basketball, right? They just stopped shooting hoops around midnight. and they become very good friends. And eventually they start a business with the premonition. This is, again, 2006. We think over time, more and more people will have the ability to work from home. So Splashtop as a business, 2006 to February 2020, continued to ascend in a very nice manner. Boom, March 2020, COVID, pandemic, all these things. And it just accelerated what I think was the ultimate end game of people having the ability to work from home, hybrid workforce, et cetera. I think it really just accelerated, right? But to your point, Marvin, Splashtop had always been, prior to my appointment, a direct company. But I think we realized as an organization, we have a great presence out there. And it's great having a website and being able to have a very transactional business unit. And we're still being very, very successful in that. We've made some great hires at Splashtop in that side of our business. But I also think that we realized, hey, if we go out and can develop a partner-friendly program, again, for VARs, for MSPs, even for integration partners. And again, we have a lot of good integrations out there with people like Datto, people like Ninja, people like Acronis, we just announced this quarter, people like Freshworks, ServiceNow, et cetera. I think we've kind of realized other people have relationships, and other MSPs, in our example here, they're going to have a need to sell a remote access, remote support solution, because again, this thing's not going away. And to kind of echo that sentiment, Marvin, as far as the transition that we made strategically, right, as a business unit at Splashtop to have partner program, MSPs, VARs, et cetera, is that the average organization in 2019 allowed 20% of their workforce to work from home, right? So we're talking maybe the help desk, maybe C-level people, maybe sales, right? But right now, we live in a world, 2022, where we're always seeing this great resignation. If you don't have a job that gives you the ability to work from home, at least hybrid, you're going to find a job that can. That's just the way it is. So therefore, any organization of any size will always have going forward a need in a long-term strategy setting. How do we support our remote workforce from an access perspective? How do we then ensure, going back to even your analogy with your customer, that all these devices, which we can get more deep into here in a minute, we have a support tool to manage whatever it is agnostically. And that, again, has precipitated our need to grow our MSP footprint.
All right. So when I first heard of Splashtop, I considered it, kind of like the others, where it was just for remote access for yourself to get to your computer when you're not there. And it is now, morphed into all these different versions where there's the business access, there's the, repair team, remote support, MSP. And I don't know how much you've been able to delve back into the history, but how did that transition, take place within Splashtop? Do you know any of that?
Yeah, I'll say this. I like to think, I will tell you this. First of all, I know we have a great company. I know a lot of manufacturers are going to say that, but again, the culture, the class, the professionalism of our organization, again, top notch, right? And I think with that being said, we're always looking for ways to grow our business and stay ahead of things, right? And to your point, we've got lots of different products, right? If I look at, some of the areas we've been very successful from a customer perspective, for example, we're very good in education, right? And to your point, yes, there are tools like business access where teams, individuals can remotely access work computers, right? Stream audio from video, and video from device to device, and get all these different features like file transfer, remote print, multi-monitor support, et cetera. But in that education arena, again, we have other tools like remote labs, right? So if any MSPs out there listening says, hey, I support customers in education, and maybe right now, because of an increase in remote users, perhaps a traditional VPN is causing some bandwidth issues, right? So what we can do with one of our products in Splashtop Remote Access is have scheduled access to those lab computers. So let's just say, again, you have a student who's now working from home on a county-issued Chromebook. There's a digital equity gap between them and that Mac, as well as maybe the applications and programs on that Mac. We have the ability to give them that remote session, but also in a scheduled format to say, hey, these 5 students can remote in from 9 to 9:30. These folks have 9:30 to 10. So again, we don't have bandwidth issues, latency issues, and our users, in this case, our students, can be very productive. To your point, we also have Splashtop SOS, which is definitely more so that is a tool for IT support help desk teams to really effectively remotely support their users. And again, we have 2 different support structures at Splashtop, both attended as well as unattended, right? And then as we start talking more about our product tour, we've introduced here in late part of 2021 into 2022 Splashtop Enterprise. So what Splashtop Enterprise does, Marvin, as you probably guess by the name, from an enterprise solution, it is definitely targeted more towards those mid-market enterprise customers. It takes a lot of our features that we have in Splashtop Business Access, Splashtop SOS, Splashtop Remote Support, but then also features enterprise kind of capabilities like SSO integration, privilege control, scheduled access, USB device redirection, remote microphone, and all these other things. And then again, even like when you're saying about staying current, we just introduced earlier this year a Splashtop connector. We also have integrations with different SIMs out in the marketplace. You can also deliver Splashtop either in the cloud or on-prem. But the main difference, that's not the right way to say it. The other cool advancement product release we just made here in the last number of months here is Splashtop Augmented Reality. And I think for me personally, I think anyone out there, whether that's the MSP, a customer, someone who happened to hop on this call by accident, thank you for joining. When we say remote support, right, whether it's you, it's me, Jim down the street, I think our impressions of remote support is this. I have a device, which is an end user device, a PC, a Mac, what have you, and it's down. And I need someone to remote in, right, to fix it. And it's a software issue. Now, the beautiful thing about Splashtop is that we're completely agnostic of device. So again, we can go from a PC to a Mac, an iPad to a Mac, a Chromebook to a PC, an Android to a Mac. It's irrelevant. As long as it has an operating system and a screen, right, we can talk to it. So that's a huge value add that whatever they have, we can fix remotely. But what Splashtop Augmented Reality does, it takes it a step further. We now have the ability to have live, real-time video feed between point A and point B. And I'll give you a real-world example, right? So I kind of mentioned before, my son and I, we were out in California earlier this year, and we flew out of Raleigh-Durham. And as soon as we get to the airport, there is a truck, right? A van, work van, et cetera. And that guy is fixing an issue because the touch screen, right, where you can pay for your parking before going back to your car, had an issue. So he physically had to drive there. And I said to my son, Liam, I was like, Liam, all they had to do is have someone from the airport, and Terminal 1, if anyone's ever been there, Raleigh-Durham International, is not a very exciting terminal. Terminal 2, much better. Terminal 1, Southwest, not as exciting. Anyway, with Splashtop, all they had to do is send someone from upstairs to downstairs, and whether that is the camera on their PC or their Mac or even iPhone, they can show exactly what they see physically in front of them. So now we have the ability to see live, again, disparate of this device, disparate of location, and see it in real time. So now with Splashtop Augmented Reality, we have the ability to solve hardware issues because we can do annotation capabilities, drawing on the screen. So for example, this person sitting at home could have said, hey, oh yeah, can you open it up? Okay. Do you see the blue cord? No, I don't see the blue cord. So then the IT technician can draw an arrow and say, you see this? No, I don't. And then draw a circle. Is this the blue cord? Yeah. So now we can fix remote issues, hardware-based, leveraging Splashtop AR. And I truly think, Marvin, it's one of those cliche terms we hear often in IT, like trusted advisor, game-changing technology. But I truly believe Splashtop Augmented Reality is game-changing now because the power is in our MSP's hands to say they don't have to, and you mentioned earlier the drive. I don't have to drive somewhere. I can save costs internally on my truck roll. I can save downtime for my customers. And ultimately, I can save my customers money. So for us, when we look at all of our different products and more products we have coming out later this year, which in this moment I can't discuss, I think it makes it really exciting to say Splashtop is always ever evolving in our products and our offerings and our solutions, and also how do we go to market.
So let me ask a quick question, and then I want to backtrack a little bit. So the augmented reality, is that a feature that is available across all your editions, or is that just in the remote support, help desk, MSP version, as opposed to a end user who just wants to use it at their house?
Sure. Yeah. So augmented reality is one of the advanced features that are in Splashtop Enterprise. So in order to have that ability also to get augmented reality, one would need, whether that's the MSP or the end user, Splashtop Enterprise. And right now, we do have a promotion going on that if you purchase Splashtop Enterprise, we're going to give you, again, MSP or end user, augmented reality free for the first year.
Okay. Now that goes, okay, so now I have another question to ask before I go back even further. So you mentioned the price there, the promotion. Now, one of the questions that I got even before we got on the air here was somebody making a comment in, I forget where it is, maybe it was the Facebook, wondering about all of the different resale options there are for us. And when I say us, I don't know if he's a full MSP or a computer repair shop because I have a mixture. I have solo techs all the way up to large MSPs. And one of the comments was the fact that there's so many different versions and different discounts and stuff. So, as an MSP, I'm assuming we could probably use the MSP version or we could resell. What's the difference in all of those different products for us?
Yeah, no, very accurate. So I would say from an MSP audience perspective, again, we have alliance partners, we have integration partners, again, like Acronis and Freshworks, et cetera. But really the two paths forward from a resale perspective really are A, VAR or B, MSP. So some brief comments on both. So a VAR, value-added reseller, again, I would say it's very traditional in how people are really traditionally selling hardware. So that would be a process where you would sign up as a Splashtop reseller. We have different tiers based upon your tier and your commitment level to Splashtop. You're going to get different discount structures. And as a Splashtop VAR, you can sell anything in our product portfolio. And ultimately, the customer is going to issue a purchase order to the VAR, who in turn returns one to us, right? Again, very traditional. This is the likes of Dell and HP and Oracle and others have done for 20, 30 years. As an MSP, we've tried to make it a little more self-sufficient, a little less steps involved, whereby as anyone who wants to become a Splashtop authorized MSP, whether that's a one-person company or a 1,000-person company, it's exactly the same, where they would join up with us as a Splashtop authorized MSP. We've identified 3 products in my time here that we see a lot of MSPs, mid-market customers buying in, and therefore MSPs would be interested in selling it. Again, they have full access, can sell whatever, but the 3 main products our MSPs are out there selling, again, are Splashtop Business Access, which again is more for individual teams and professionals that act for access purposes, Splashtop SOS, which is more that remote support for end users, and Splashtop Remote Support, which is more geared towards endpoint monitoring, different control capabilities, one-to-many, system reboot, et cetera. And each of those products get a discount, right, based upon the MSP level, if you will. So as an MSP, you can sell whatever you want. And as the MSP, if you say, hey, Justin, I need Splashtop Remote Access, Remote Access. I need Remote Labs because I have customers in education, or I need Splashtop Enterprise. That would just be a situation instead of the MSP placing the order online directly and getting a discount off the cuff there. They would just work with me and my sales team to get a discount. But again, from a process perspective, once the MSP places the order, right, with Splashtop, they're going to get the licenses because, again, they're managing that on behalf of their customers.
Okay. So when we direct our people to a website, we're not just going to send them to splashtop.com. Are we going to send them to splashtop.com/MSP?
Yeah, correct. So they're going to have be able to place orders that are unique to their business. So again, each of these MSPs are going to get unique discount codes that are unique to them. And then after the order, they're going to have their own, think of it like this, their own portal to track all of their different orders for each customer.
Okay. All right. So we kind of got ahead. I was hoping to do a little break here, but we're just going to keep right on going. So you talked about the different features, the different additions and stuff. And I know that everybody understands the typical features, the remote access, file transfer, being able to share screens, stuff like that. But what are the exclusive features? Now, I think you already mentioned the augmented reality, which is an enterprise product. But what are some of the other exclusive features that are available?
Yeah, so from an enterprise perspective, we're seeing a huge uptick in that. And I think the reason that we're seeing a huge uptick in that is I think a lot of businesses, whether they're buying from an MSP, a value-added reseller, whoever, they're starting to get to the sense that, hey, look, I made a purchase in 2020, maybe Splashtop, maybe one of our competitors, but now I understand that I need a long-term remote access, remote support solution, right? And with that growth in the market, in order to stay relevant, in order to stay, again, ahead of the times, we have to come out with new features to compete. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, right? So again, the first one I think that we're seeing a lot of interest in from a advanced feature perspective, again, in enterprise is the ability to do IP whitelisting, which is a huge time saving in the remote space. SIM integration, I think, also is a nice advanced feature we have in Splashtop Enterprise. Splashtop Connector. And again, we can talk more granular about each of these, at a later point. Splashtop Connector, I feel, has been a huge adoption for a lot of our customers. But, for me, Marvin, again, we kind of talked about it. Splashtop Augmented Reality, I think, is the newest advanced feature that we have that really redefines what remote support is. And we do have some advanced features coming later this year, and I'm talking here in Q4, so not long, which I think is really going to extend the market segmentation that Splashtop has over some of our competition.
All right. So we'll have to have you come back on when you can talk about those, because
sure.
So want to ask. Now,
no, for sure, by all means.
Now, you also had mentioned endpoint monitoring built into Splashtop with which version? Is that the SOS or the
so for an endpoint monitoring, that would be more Splashtop remote support.
Okay.
So that is a great tool. Yeah, so that is a great tool that MSPs can really support and manage their clients. And I think, when I kind of take a step back, and I know we're talking more about augmented reality here in a second as well, but I think we really took a step back and said, okay, we're providing remote support to different endpoints, right? And I think then we had the realization that when we speak endpoint, and I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, as long as it has an operating system and as long as it has a screen, we can talk to it. So, and I shared this from the podcast as well, that I was at an event in Northern Florida last week of January, spent 4 months with my team here, including Catherine from our partner marketing team, and building the programs and the channel partner portal and all these different things that we've done. And kind of coming out of that, starting to attend events. And I had this realization that if it is truly agnostic, there is not really a device, right, that we can't support. So not only does Splashtop remote support can support endpoint monitoring, again, for PCs, Macs, iPhones, Chromebooks, etc. But if we take it a step further as Splashtop, which then goes back to Splashtop Enterprise with some of these advanced features like we talked about earlier, then guess what? Let's ask ourselves, how many devices are connected to the internet, right? And not just PCs, Macs, not just end user experience kind of devices that we need to access for remote access and support. And the answer, Marvin, there are 29 billion devices connected to the internet. 29 billion. And I am talking a Tesla. I am talking a point of sale machine. I'm talking a kiosk at the hotel. I'm talking the ATM at the bank. I'm talking the machine at the airport. I'm talking the touchscreen at the airport. You're here, go here, right? Everything that we see out there, right, is this touchscreen. And one thing that we realize, right, is we cannot have downtime. You cannot afford downtime, right? So we took the idea of monitoring and supporting endpoints and have grown it to this next level, if you will, with Splashtop Augmented Reality, because now Splashtop, as much as we support remote access, remote support, having conversations as an alternative to VPN, like we talked about earlier tonight, relative to our performance advantages that we have over some of our competition, 4K streaming, 60 frames per second, etc. We relooked and said, you know what? A point of sale machine, right? And we have customers, many household names, and I'll just drop a couple in CVS and Best Buy, and some very well-known theme parks, which I won't mention names, but that use us not for support of their Macs or iPhones, but their point of sale machines, because you know what? It can't go down, right? We have other customers, very well-known logistics companies, which again, I won't name, but guess what I've learned? All of these trucks, they have a tablet embedded in their truck that, again, can't go down. When they make their delivery, right? And I'm not going to name names. They go, yep, it's been delivered, right? Off that little tablet. How many times do we go out to eat now as a society and the waiter or waitress takes our order with a Toast or Touch Bistro or Lightspeed, right? All the time. All these different devices cannot go down. So when we talk about the evolution of Splashtop and where the market's going, I'll leave you this. I'll mention one stat here as well as we talk about it, Marvin, is remote desktop as a vertical. Right now, according to many experts out there, is a $7.8 billion market. Splashtop is going to continue to be the leader in that space with the highest NPS score and all the features we talked about, different products we have on splashtop.com. And that's awesome. But if we look at Splashtop for support for this IoT device area, for this digital transformation, which everyone talks about, but then my contention is, okay, yeah, digital transformation, that's really, really cool. How do you support it? And then, given the context of where we are in 2022, not 2019, not 2020, the next word I would add in there, Marvin, is, okay, how do you hand it remotely? And right now, support remotely, right, for IoT devices is a $348 billion market. So when we mention our ability to take remote support from an endpoint monitoring, bring in a live video feed with augmented reality, we are changing the game for where Splashtop can go as a support tool for our customers out there.
So when I look at a product that claims that I can do remote monitoring or endpoint monitoring, that to me means that I can set up things like alerts and monitor, agents and stuff like that. So how is that handled with Splashtop? First of all, can you do alerting for devices?
For sure. So we have, from a support matrix perspective, Marvin, we have two different options, either attended or unattended, right? The first one is like many others out there in the market do.
Yep.
User has a problem with said device. They provide a 9-digit code. Engineers remote in, fix a problem, and the session's gone, and the code is gone. But we also have the ability, what I like to call more proactive support. And that is exactly to your point, where we can monitor things ahead of time. So if an organization says, you can't connect to our VPN until you do ABCD, and someone tries to connect, we're going to alert that says, hey, Jim's trying to connect, and we're not going to allow him until he, updates his security policy. So we certainly can do all that stuff from a help desk perspective.
Okay. So no real monitoring of the actual device itself. So obviously you'll know if a unattended device goes down because you won't be able to access it. But are there any other things that you can monitor with that?
Yeah. Again, so when we talk about Splashtop Remote, it's not only those abilities to do remote control, again, that 9-digit code like we talked about, but we can do many actions. So we can do a many-to-one action. We can remotely provide a system reboot. Remotely, we can do, again, a Windows update. We can do configurable updates, like I mentioned before, like, hey, you're not configured, so we're not going to allow you to do it. And then we also have the ability to do a remote command, like, hey, we're going to send this to your device, and you have to do that before you can connect or do whatever you need to do.
Okay, good. That's kind of where I wanted to go with that. Now, we can't get into a ton of stuff here because we're going to have to tell people, if they really want an in-depth demo, to contact you guys and set that up. And that's not what we're here to do. But I know that we have a video to show, and I want to do that.
Yep.
And again, folks, if you are listening to the audio, I apologize, but I will try to have a little marker in the show notes where you can come and watch the video itself. But explain the video here to us, and then we'll go ahead and throw it up here.
Sure. Yeah. As you build that, it really gets going around the 16, 17 second mark. Marv, that's a mouthful. It is. But I think what this does, again, it's only 1 minute and 30 seconds long, or really 1 minute and 13 seconds long. But it really shows, I think, graphically what Splashtop augmented reality is. And, right now, Marv, I feel like I'm on, I feel like you're like Jay Leno or David Letterman right now, and I'm the Hollywood star. And so you want to take a look at this film clip from my movie coming out on Friday. So yes, I will be the Hollywood star. As we talked about before, Marvin, my nickname's Maverick, so it only seems appropriate that we're sitting down here, having a late night talk show. So maybe that's something else you can do in your spare time. But
I'll be the talk show host and say, let's go to the clip.
Go to the clip.
Splashtop Augmented Reality is an advanced remote support and field service tool. It enables end users to share the camera of the mobile device they're using with a remote technician in real time, so the technician can be virtually on site whenever needed. To launch an AR session, direct the end user to download the SOS AR app on their mobile device. When the end user needs help, he or she simply launches the app and sends a 9-digit code to the technician. The technician then enters the code in the SOS app, which prompts the end user to give permission to remote in. Once permission is granted, the technician can access the mobile camera from his or her computer or mobile device. I'm muting the microphone to avoid feedback right now, but with two-way voice communication and AR-driven annotations, it's very easy to get your point across. As you can see, both sides have different colors, so it's easy to tell apart. I can erase specific annotations and also pause the screen to really focus in on one area, eliminating the need for the on-site end user to hold the camera really still. I can also turn the flashlight on if I need to see more clearly, and even record the session. In this way, Splashtop AR makes collaboration and knowledge sharing easy and dramatically reduces issue resolution time.
All right, so there's a part of me that's thinking, how many people are going to be freaked out that you can control the camera and the flashlight and things like that?
Yeah, well, it certainly could happen, but I think what it does show is that how many times is there a hardware issue that respectfully, maybe someone on the other side is not technology savvy.
Yep.
And the technician, the MSP is like, oh my gosh, just move the blue cord, just plug that in. And the other person, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh my gosh, I guess I gotta come out. But now we can resolve those issues much, much quicker. So I'll give you a perfect real world example. So we have one partner that has 3 levels of support, right? L1, L2, L3. So they sell hardware, but they try to do as many implementation, install services as possible, right? And support after the fact, first call, these kinds of things. So it goes to L1. If L1 can't solve it, it goes to L2. L2 can't solve it, it goes to L3. L3 is a guy or girl physically getting in a truck and driving, right? And as we talked to them, they said, on average, that truck roll as a business cost us $400 to $450. On average, the customer is down 2 to 3 hours, right? And of course, we're going to charge invoice the customer first coming out, $700, $800. And I said the predominant sales question is like, what if I could give you a tool that gives you the ability to see where you would go, but maybe not have to go? Oh, that would be fantastic. And I think, again, that really, use the word accelerate, really accelerates our time to improve issues, as explained in the demo, much, much quicker. And possibly, yes, Marvin could, freak people out, but hopefully not.
Well, I can tell you what I like about it, and this is just from my first observation. One, I don't have to worry about getting my cell phone number out to somebody so we can do a FaceTime.
Yep.
One. And second, the fact that you can draw on the screen in real time. I just assumed that it was something where you took a picture and then you could, do your annotation, but being able to annotate the screen in real time in different colors so you know which person is actually doing it is huge.
No, 100%. Because what do people do maybe prior? Okay, I'll take a picture. Right, the situation easily play it safe. Easily play itself out is there's a problem. One person tries to fix it. Okay, let me take a picture. Right, boom, and then they go, did you get the picture? And while that's happening, someone else goes to try to fix a problem. And then when they go back down, like, where does blue cord come from?
Yep.
We gotta. So the fact that, again, it is real time, you can draw on the screen, and you really can guide maybe a non-technical person for an issue resolution much, much quicker, especially maybe in that Internet of Things arena. Again, those point of sales, those ATMs, those kiosks. Yeah, for me, it's pretty huge.
Happens all the time. And we actually even have a comment that that is a great app for sure. So
yes, thanks, John. I think so too.
People being able to observe just like me, that's almost a no-brainer just by itself.
Yeah, again, I think when we look at the market in 2020, all our businesses kind of blew up. But I think for me too, Marvin, kind of a quick segue. I think we're at a point as a society here in IT that any IT organization, whether that's, Gentle Dental, which is outside Boston, Massachusetts. I drove past that last week. I think that's a nice name, Gentle Dental, because usually you go to the dentist, like, you don't think it's going to be gentle, but apparently they are. Right. Or a huge account like a Target or Walmart. I think every organization for the next foreseeable year or couple of years are going to have 3 main IT goals, right? One, how do we ensure that our cybersecurity posture is mitigating our exposure to ransomware? Like, that's number one, bar none. Number 2, how are we leveraging the cloud for disaster recovery, business continuity, certain applications workload? Again, trying to avoid hardware spend. Always will be hardware, but how can we maybe not have so much, less floor space, power and cooling? Because again, more people are working from home. And I truly think number 3, how can we ensure that our users who are now remote have an efficient, productive environment to do their job that we support? And secondly, how do we have a tool to support all of these different devices in this huge BYOD movement? And in many times as the organization, again, Gentle Dental, Walmart, Taco Bell, whatever, that we never even physically see anyway. And I think if that's the case from a 3 project goal, I think the ability for Splashtop to have so many customers out there is pretty large.
All right. So I think we've hit pretty much a lot of the features and stuff like that. Before we continue, I want to do just a quick timeout and pay some bills and give kudos to our sponsors, and then we'll come back and see if there's anything we missed or if any questions for anybody watching the live screen here. We are broadcasting on YouTube, the Facebook, and to LinkedIn. So I don't think the LinkedIn people can get us questions in the chat, but those of you on YouTube and the Facebook can. But let me first say that the IT Business Podcast is presented by NetAlly, your number one ally of network professionals around the world, an industry leader for more than 25 years, providing best-in-class tools and software to enable you to more effectively plan, install, validate, and troubleshoot vitally important wired and wired networks. And our live show this evening is sponsored by Computers Done Right, a managed IT service company providing IT support and management in Venice, Florida, and surrounding areas. Not only do they do computer repair, virus removal, IT services, they also provide website design and social media marketing. So for all your computer needs, head over to www.computersdoneright.com. And last, this is not a sponsor, but a partner. September 16th through the 18th, folks, join me as we head to Chicago for the 2022nd annual, and I said that wrong again. I said I wouldn't do it. 2022, not the 2022nd. That's just ridiculous. But for 2022, the annual TechCon Unplugged, presented by our friends at MSP Unplugged, Rick and Paco, and I think I'm going to be getting an update from them later this week as to how everything looks. The venue, I believe, is fantastic. The sessions are all set. This is your conference that is for techs, by techs, and they stand side by side with the vendors, presenting you with the best tools to run your business and do things right. So Chicago, September 16th to the 18th, I will see you there. All right. Now, before we get to any questions that may pop up here, Justin, I know that we rambled a little bit on some stuff. I think you got excited about some of the things like the augmented reality and the future of where Splashtop is going. But did we hit all of the bullet points that you wanted to about, the features and the products that are out there now?
I believe so. I mean, if there's any question out there, we certainly can answer them now. I think anyone who's interested in a demo of Splashtop and any of our product lines, we certainly can coordinate that effort. And I really think the takeaway that I hope we got out of today is that Splashtop, we started as a very nice provider for remote access and remote support, which entails lots of different features, lots of different product sets based upon the needs of the customer, business, et cetera. We're maturing as a company, right? Which is a very nice step that we're maturing as a company. We have 85% of Fortune 500 companies use Splashtop, as we kind of mentioned earlier. We have very great enterprise tools. We bring in augmented reality. We're bringing in some newer features, which again, can't discuss right now, but if we talk again, maybe in Q4, we can. And I think that's really the takeaway is that as an MSP provider of Splashtop, I know that they're always going to kind of have my back. Great customer support, great customer service, but as board members, as founders, right, they're always going to be proactive in seeing what some of the new trends are, which really helps me resonate and stay current with my customers.
All right. So I had popped up a question that came in. Can you please give me a specific example of how Splashtop bridges the remote employee to work, student to school?
Perfect. No, that's a good example. And I'll start with the school example, right? So let's just say you're a student, right? And you're now working from home, right? You have a county issued Chromebook, and prior to that, you went to the library, and in that library was a Mac. And on that Mac was very expensive software like CAD software, Adobe, so on and so forth. But now you're home on a Chromebook, and there's a digital equity gap, right, between your Chromebook and that high-powered Mac. What Splashtop has the ability to do in this case from a student perspective or even a remote workforce perspective, like a lawyer, a doctor, whatever, it doesn't really matter, is not only do you have your Chromebook, but from your screen on your Chromebook, I know this is an iPhone, so just bear with me. Imagine it's a Chromebook.
We can pretend.
Let's pretend. Why not? Right. But this is a Chromebook. And then I can go to my Chromebook. I can go to the Splashtop app on my Chromebook. And I can choose, again, based upon what license structure I have, how many devices I can pull down and drop down. And I will choose Splashtop. I'll choose Library Mac. Boom. Now my screen, Chromebook at home, is the screen of the Mac. And now I can have performance parity, right, between these two devices, 4K streaming, 60 frames per second, but I also can access everything that Mac has, the Adobe and the CAD software. So really solving that digital equity gap to say, again, it does not matter what device you have, but if you're connecting A to B, A gets everything that B has, which again, the same case can be said for a lawyer, a construction worker, a banker, healthcare, whatever.
Now, is that something where, and I'm thinking from the standpoint of schools had to be remote, and is this something that a teacher can use to access a student's computer at home if they're having trouble with an assignment or something like that? Or am I just thinking too far out of the box?
That is certainly a use case. And I think that also goes back again, we're very strong in education. I know we didn't talk about all the products we have tonight because we've got more than one, but another product we have is Splashtop. It's called Mirroring 360, right? Where the teacher or the student who has to present can mirror their screen from one side to the other, right? So let's just say in this example, Larry share, because I think we all can agree from a college perspective or higher ed, there will always be classes remote. Like that's just the way it's going to be. But what happens if you are on site? And this may be not the best example, but you're in this big lecture hall. There's like 250 people. You got in late. You're sitting in the back row, and you're like, "What does that say over there? I can't see." Like because there's 250 people in front of you. You don't need to do that. You can just go to your phone, tablet, whatever, and see and have that screen share kind of capability. Which again, to your point, if a student's having a problem, they can share their screen, and the teacher can kind of help direct them, show them things, or even have from you're working in a school session remotely and it's like a group project, and sometimes maybe only one person does the work and then you have some slackers and similarly that sometimes happens. But now we have the ability to say, no, let's share our screens. Let's see who's doing A, B, C, D. So I think it's, certainly, a good use case there.
All right. And another thing I just popped in. So you had talked earlier about all the things that you can't yet talk about of features that are coming out. So with that in mind, and I'm going to try to weasel some stuff. What are some of the trends that you see coming in Q4, since that's about the time you're introducing some stuff? So without revealing what those are, what are the trends you see happening?
No, that's nice way to try to get some stuff out of good old Maverick, Marv. I appreciate it. I will say this. I think augmented reality, I know I've said a lot. I think that's going to continue to be a trend. How can we consolidate time and expense and downtime for customers? Because we live in this world of instant gratification, social media that, you just can't have downtime, right? So I think augmented reality. I think the other thing that we're seeing, there's lots of solutions out there for password management. I think there's lots of solutions there from a cybersecurity perspective. I think there's lots of solutions out there, that really have this zero trust kind of approach. And I think when you're looking holistically of all the different providers that you've had out there as an organization, think of it like this. Let's just say you're an average mid-market customer, right? And you went out years ago and you bought, and again, nothing wrong with this in any way, shape, or form, right? You bought Dell servers, you bought VMware, and you bought NetApp from a storage perspective, right? Again, totally fine. That's what you did. No big deal. People still do that. And again, that's fine. Then all of a sudden you have this thing called Nutanix come along and go, you don't really need to do any of that. You can consolidate your servers and storage in one, save cost, right? And oh, by the way, is VMware expensive? We got this thing called Acropolis. Maybe you can consolidate that. And now Nutanix, plugs in, all these plug in with the clouds and all the things they have and Pure Storage and all these different people. And I think when we go back to the point of remote being a third project, I think a lot of these businesses are going to go, wow, you're right. We do need a remote strategy. I hope our MSPs are leading with that. But we have all these different vendors in all these different arenas. It would be really nice if we could consolidate some of this with an organization that has, again, $1 billion valuation, the highest NPS score in the market. So as we look at that, I think it's a lot of our roadmap items are really towards the consolidation of lots of different siloed projects, but also a huge emphasis upon the security thereof.
All right. And so from an MSP standpoint, I can have my own Splashtop dashboard. I could have it integrated into my RMM tool, and I could resell to my clients if they need remote access for their business. Does that sound about right?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And then could I sell to one-off consumers too? Or is that
100%?
wow?
No, it's fine. We don't. I'll give. So this is a really good example. I'm like, yep, I can see people doing that. I was in, I don't know where I was. I was somewhere, and this guy walks by again. We hear it all the time. Oh, I love Splashtop. I'm like, thanks. You know, I mean, I'm not super technical, but you know, people smarter than me at Splashtop made that guy a very happy client, which is amazing. And again, we've got great people at Splashtop. He goes, yeah, I use Splashtop to help my grandma remote in, and I'm like, well, okay. I'm glad grandmom's happy. So again, it can be a one-off. Come in, hey, you got to get a couple licenses for a customer, or it can be a much more of a partnership that we could have with Splashtop.
Well, you know, that happens all the time. You know, we not only have to support our customers and their families, but we have to support our families too. So I could see that happening.
Oh, 100%. Again, and I think that's, and I'll give you another example, right? And again, if anyone's interested in Splashtop, they certainly can, you know, go to our website. There's tons of options to do free demos, no credit card required for all these different products that we mentioned before, enterprise and remote support and SOS and all these different things. But the other example, Marv, that I really find interesting is I was with one of our partners in Nashville, Tennessee, middle part of June, and we did a Topgolf event because everyone does Topgolf, so why not? We'll do one too. Yep. And again, Topgolfs are great. Don't no comments about that. But I walk out in Nashville, Tennessee, and in my view, I see a police officer. I didn't do anything wrong. I just want to level set. They weren't coming to get me, just scouting the area. But I see a police officer legit right in front of me. I see the highway or
what the fact that you were scouting the area is probably suspicious.
Well, no, I wasn't. The police officer was. I don't know. Maybe it's not a good part of Nashville. I don't know. If you've been to the Topgolf from Nashville, the city of Nashville, and then the back of it is, and then you just hit into the grass. I think they should have flipped it so you hit looking towards the city. But I don't know. I'm not an architect, right? I'm not George Costanza. I'm not pretending to be an architect at any point. But when I looked out again, I saw a police officer. I saw a billboard on the highway. I saw a gas station. I saw a hotel, and I saw a bank. And I said, every single one of those people needs Splashtop. Tell me they don't. That device in the cop car can't go down. The point of sale machine, gas station can't happen. The kiosk at the hotel can't go down. ATM can't happen. What if someone hacks into that billboard and is posting slanderous stuff along the highway? All those different use cases are present for Splashtop.
All right. And I believe the name you were looking for was Art Vandelay.
Yes, Art Vandelay. If you've been to Moe's Southwestern Grill, like a Chipotle, they have an Art Vandelay burrito.
Really?
I find amazing. They do. It's a veggie burrito, so I don't know. I don't think George Costanza was a vegetarian, or nor was Art Vandelay, or a latex salesman for that. And he also wasn't a latex salesman for that.
No, he was not. He was not.
He was not a latex salesman.
All right. Well, we're going to start to end off the show here, but I want to do one quick thing because I've had some people comment that I've not done enough Florida man stories. And Justin, you were not privy to this, and I didn't prep you, so don't worry. But usually we would do a Florida man or random question segment where we would allow the guests to either pick a Florida man story from their own neighborhood. So you would have to find a story of somebody doing something outrageous, stupid, hilarious, and then it would challenge Florida man. And if you didn't want to do that, you'd answer a random question. But we didn't have time to prep for that, and I thought we would go long, and we are. But I did want to at least acknowledge people that have asked for more Florida man stories, and I was reviewing some titles with people earlier today. And of course, if you just go on and search Florida man and a date, you're going to get great stories. Well, today I was searching for Florida man stories, and of course, a lot of it has to do with some very heinous stuff that has happened down here with the Parkland shooting. So I was going through title, and I came across one, And without even knowing the story, I busted out laughing. It's not a great story, not a very happy story, but here's the title. Man, 21, dies after hitting pig with his car.
Hey, that's a title. And if you would have said pig in Florida, I would have been like, maybe that's not the right location. But
And it's a story. It happened here in Palm Beach County, which is just north of me. And this man was driving on Indian Town Road, which is a road that kind of is out there in the country, when a pig ran into the road just before 11:20 p.m. on Sunday. And that's it. They just said that he was pronounced dead on scene. So there's a lot more that I'm going to have to try to research on that. But folks, that is your Florida man story for today. And you'll have the link in the show note. I've put up on the screen for those of you that are watching the video, splashtop.com/MSP is where you want to go get more information. So Justin, tell us real quick, what can somebody expect when they go there? I'm assuming they'll have to fill out a little contact form and have somebody contact them. What's the process there?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just a quick little form to fill out, and then someone from our sales team reaches out, talks more about what are you doing as an MSP? What are your goals for Splashtop? What are you interested in? And then from there, we certainly can set up appropriate demos, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned the 3 different ways that an MSP can use the product. We can do the business access, the SOS, or the remote support, right?
Yeah. So those are, it's a very automated process to purchase those. At the same time, if the MSP needs Splashtop Enterprise or Splashtop Mirroring 360 or any of our products in our portfolio, they would just contact myself, and then I would get appropriate salesperson to help them get what they need for their customers.
All right. Well, Justin, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. You and I are going to hang out here for a little bit after the outro here. If you're listening by audio, thank you very much for downloading and subscribing to the show. Those of you that are new to the podcast, watching here on YouTube, LinkedIn, or the Facebook, be sure to head over to itbusinesspodcast.com. Sign up for one of the podcast catchers. That way you'll know when a lot of these audio features come out. Justin's previous episode 427 was an audio, so you would have gotten that in your podcatcher. So go over to the website, sign up for one of those. Of course, you can sign up on any of the platforms. Follow me on Facebook, the YouTube, and on LinkedIn, and you'll know when the video shows come out. Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern for the live show. Justin, that's going to do it. Any last words out to the listeners?
No, just thanks for joining. Look forward to working with you as much as we can going forward, and enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, folks, that's going to do it. And until next time, holla. All right, there we go. Thank you much.
All right. Yeah, man. Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you for coming out, reaching out, and thank you to, I don't know what her official title for you is, but Kelly Strimmel for doing the hookup for us.
Yeah, no, Kelly is, she, is part of our PR team, if you will, and she does obviously a great job, and we're happy to have her and work with her and all that good stuff.
All right. So let's see, we had the questions come up. I think we answered pretty much all of them. There was a question that came up that I wasn't quite sure how to ask about. We had talked about all the different things with enterprise, but something about enterprise all the way to the SMB. So I wasn't quite sure what that meant. Now, you had mentioned that enterprise was kind of this new addition, and I probably should have asked you at kind of what's the break-off point for what's considered SMB or business access to that next level of enterprise?
Yeah, it's really, I think of it like, so, we can dig down into all the different things, but, like for instance, I just say this, the business access has 6 things, right? Enterprise has 10. Okay. So if the customer goes, I really only need 6, okay, business access. But you know what? 7, 9, 10 would be really great. Okay, then let's go, move you up to enterprise.
Okay.
And the same thing can be, and then we have a lot of customers right now who traditionally have had SOS, remote support, or business access, right? And now they say, whoa, this new enterprise thing that you have either for the end user or for the technician gives me a lot more features that I've been asking for, and is worth the uptick from a pricing perspective to go get 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay. So it's more about features, not the number of endpoints.
Correct.
Okay. Let's see. Is there, I'm going to ask this because I'm probably going to ask you if I can have it and if I can share it, but is there like a PDF diagram of like which solutions have which features?
Honestly, I don't know if we have like one that like consolidates everything. I mean, we definitely have, data sheets on our website for all of the different products. Now, the question is, do you have one like master matrix that says business access, SOS, remote support, enterprise?
Yeah, but I mean, even if we had one just for the MSP stuff, let's see. Let me poke around because I looked on the site and I don't think I saw something like that. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I mean, for any of the products, if you go to just splashtop.com, and then when you get to like the middle of each individual page, it's going to have like view data sheet and that kind of stuff. But we don't have, to my knowledge, one that kind of says, hey, this is the breakdown of this does ABCD. This is what it gets. But this is maybe why one's better than the other.
Okay. I went to the resource page and started there.
Yeah. If you just go to products and then go down to, so again, we've got all that, but I don't think we have one that's consolidates everything.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And let's see here. I think that was it. Oh, and I did not ask you about is MSP Connect.
Yeah, so MSP Connect is just the name of the MSP program.
Oh, okay.
I mean, so we have Partner Connect, which is for VARs, and then with MSP Connect, which is just the name of the MSP program. So
okay.
Yep.
All right. You guys going to be out? You guys got an award today. I should have mentioned that.
Did we get an award today?
Not an award. What was it? You got honored as. Let me pull up the thing here. You had you got listed as a top software for, what was it, KD something?
Oh, KDDI? Maybe? I don't know.
Riveting video.
I mentioned I mentioned we won the one at Channel Pro a few weeks ago at Charlotte. But if we won another award today, that's awesome too.
Yep. I should have copied that down. It was a weird name, Katie something.
Huh.
We're on a list of all of there was like a whole bunch of products that were like best in class for 2022.
Mm-hmm. I just went on Google and just did a quick like news search. I didn't see anything come up. Not that, I mean, you obviously could be totally right, but.
Well, the problem is that you get all the old news, like your, new funding for 2021, your Splashtop pivots to unicorn status.
Yes. I just pulled up one top 10 Android apps of March 2013. So no, not current.
Yeah, I did see that one. Yeah.
But no, I mean, again, Marvin, I hate saying it, but I'm telling you, I think that the upside of Splashtop is astronomical. I mean, I didn't say it in the interview because, again, of course, I ramble a lot and I know that. But like when you say Q-tip, when you say Kleenex, like that's the name of a company. Like that's not the vertical. Like that's one brand. And I truly think when we talk about all of these devices and they all need support, back to my Nashville example, tell me why I should just be Splashtop, right? So I think we have a lot to do. So, to get there. But yeah, I mean, I think
Just so you
getting
know,
these yeah, go
just so
ahead.
you know, we mentioned her name, and she's actually come out and helped us. KM World is the company that recognized you guys today.
Huh. Pull this up.
I'm looking forward to.
Splash World. No, that's not us.
Splash
It
World.
does look cool though.
That sounds like a
It's
name.
in
That
great.
sounds like a nice conference name. You guys could do Splash
It
World.
does.
compete
Splash
with
World is
Splash World.
what's a huge water. Yeah, it's a huge water park apparently in England or Ireland or someplace. It looks pretty darn awesome. But no. I don't know. I mean,
All right.
well, again, that's the thing. We go out there and so it's a magazine, website, and conference dedicated to new trends, case studies, headquartered in Camden, Maine. Oh. How about that?
All right. We'll reach out to that. Oh, here it is. Trend-setting products of 2022.
Yes.
There
I
you
just pulled it up.
Yep, there it is.
Oh, I'm going to share this on my LinkedIn. What does it say about Splashtop?
Let's see. Splashtop is
Next page.
so Splashtop Enterprise, best value enterprise class remote computer access solution and remote tool giving users unattended anytime computer access to enable employees and students to work from home or IT to manage computers and provide support.
Boom. I like it.
And unfortunately, it's in alphabetical order because that's
I know,
that's
that's what
the reason.
Yeah.
Because
Like, where is this thing?
team viewers on that list. But it looks like those are the only two remote
The next gen digital customer engagement platform, online sales, digital service, and video content empowers companies with their customer experience. Yeah, I mean, TeamViewer, is probably, I would say our biggest competitors are TeamViewer and BombGuard.
Okay.
Right. But, when we hear, their pricing structure, the price increase that they both had here, again, I'm not going to bash them. They're just raising prices, which again, is fine. That's what you need to do. That's fine. But again, just our approach, I think, is just a little bit different. And I think our ability to go after TeamViewer and BombGuard and ConnectWise and Log Me In and AnyDesk is pretty powerful. And even that, I think, is a telling statement that TeamViewer is really more of TeamViewer has different products. Don't get me wrong, but I guess whatever this Engage thing is, it's really a platform, and it's not really kind of what we do. But it probably does support when they say, to elevate the customer experience for lifelong brand loyalty, that it is about the customer experience, and TeamViewer is used by a lot of enterprises for that customer experience, right? Which again mirrors up to what we do at Splashtop end user wise. But the other thing too, I didn't mention it, but I'm a big Liverpool fan, soccer fan, and their biggest rival is Manchester United. And on the front of Manchester United's jerseys, as well as the F1 Mercedes cars, is TeamViewer. And what we're hearing is TeamViewer's marketing department is under hot water because they spent a lot of money for those two sponsorships for arguably one of the top 5, if not top 10 biggest teams in world football, and arguably the best team because Lewis Hamilton drives for Mercedes in Formula One. And maybe they're not making it back. And their prices are going up. So
got to support that marketing somehow, right?
That's my point. I mean, I don't think right now a Splashtop, a TeamViewer, a BombGuard should be sponsoring a Formula One team. I just think that's way out of our league. You know what I mean? Like you see Dell and HP, and it's like, well, okay, obviously.
Or the IT
Not
business
us.
podcast, Splashtop, it can be a sponsor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want us to get like in a minor league baseball stadium or something like that, because I do think there is a level
Splashtop
of
Stadium. That's a great name.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But I do think there's a level of just being out there and people not really knowing what the hell you do. And then when I need to make a choice, and you hear something, I know what they do, but I've seen them before. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen TeamViewer. I don't know what they do, but I trust them. It's just like if you go out and see this great car that is, 30% cheaper than the other SUV that you were going to buy, but has all the features that you want, but it's the only car you see, you're not going to buy it. Because your next question is, well, great, who's going to fix it if it breaks?
Right.
I'm just going to stick with my Toyota. I'm just going to stick with my Lexus, whatever, doesn't really matter. But then if you see a lot of more people driving it, you're like, I'll buy it now. Yeah. I think the same thing. So.
All right. Well, we don't seem to have any other questions coming in, so I'm going to end off the live broadcast here. And Justin, you and I can do our goodbyes off the air. So, folks, thank you for hanging out and listening. And if you're watching this after the fact, thank you for as well. Sorry, I've got pineapple juice on my lips are sticky. That's why I can't talk. But thanks, folks, and we'll see you soon.